You don't want that to happen. You do not want to lose 85% of your net worth, of your brokerage account, of anything by investing in mining stocks. And mining stocks are risky. They offer an opportunity for outstanding returns. However, if you're not careful, you could put yourself in a position where you could sustain some serious losses. Trust me, I've been there and done that. So in this video, I want to share with you some strategies you can use to protect yourself from experiencing massive drawdowns like that. We don't want that to happen. We want to be happy here in Ron's basement. I'm glad you're here. Let's get started right now. Because I care about you, I'm going to be hard on you, right? That's what a good friend does. They'll tell you the hard truth. So if you're not careful, you can get into big trouble just investing in mining stocks alone. So let's talk about the fundamentals, the foundation. Number one, and of course, this is just my opinion. I'm not a financial advisor. I just have decades of experience and a degree in accounting, so I understand money. I think I have a good understanding of risk as well. This is my opinion. I'll share with you. Number one, don't invest anything in mining stocks if you have any debt whatsoever. I don't care if it's credit card debt, student debt, car debt, any debt. If you owe your neighbor $20, pay everything off first before you take risk with capital in the mining stock sector. Let me give you this example. Let's say you have no debt, right? But you have no money in the bank either. But you own your house, it's worth $400,000, and you say, hey, I'm going to go get a home equity line of credit for $200,000. You take out a $200,000 loan against your house, and you're going to put that into mining stocks. Those mining stocks can drop significantly, right? 50%, 80%, 40%. Your $200,000 debt remains the same. But if you put $200,000 into a stock that drops by 50%, now you only have $100,000 in stock, but you owe $200,000. You don't want to get into that situation. Now it's 6 1/2 dozen the other. If you think about it this way, if you do own a house and you do already have $200,000 in mortgage debt on it, and you are buying stocks, you're essentially doing the same thing. You're still using borrowed money. Pay off all your debt. I know I rambled on about that subject, but it's very important. Build yourself a foundation, step one. Step number two, no margin. When you open a brokerage account, do not buy anything in excess of the equity that you have in that account. Meaning if you put $50,000 into an account and the brokerage house says, oh, you can buy up to $100,000, don't do it. Stick to the 50. Mining stocks are risky and volatile enough. You don't need the added component of margin. Now let's move on to the interesting stuff. Step three. There's 3 ways you can diversify once you start buying mining stocks. Number one, don't put all your eggs in one basket. Don't just buy shares in one company. You want to spread it out amongst a number of companies. I'm somewhat diversified. I kind of break that rule. I've got some big positions in certain companies, but overall, when I look at my total net worth picture, I'm somewhat diversified. But you don't want all your eggs in one basket because trust me, in the mining business, in any business, anything can happen. Number two, you want to diversify amongst the stage of the company. What I mean by stage, I mean there are exploration companies that make no money and are out drilling holes because they want to find the next big bonanza. Those are usually smaller companies, right? And they usually have the ability to provide some outstanding returns, but they can also provide some outstanding losses. They are the riskiest of the bunch. They're not making any money, and they don't usually really know for sure what their resources are that they're in the ground. They're trying to find resources. Now, the second stage company you can look at are development companies. They've typically already identified resources. They're somewhere in the process of building a mine. They are kind of mediocre level risky. They're not making any money yet. It depends on where they are and being financed, and you're hoping that the mine will actually get built, and when it's built, that it'll actually make money. They are still risky, not quite as risky as exploration, but still have a certain level of risk. And the third level stage you can look at are actual producing, the producers. They range from the big, large ones like Barrick and Newmont, all the way down to junior companies that have small mines that are producing. You can read their financials. You can look at their income statement. They're typically the least risky of the bunch, but they are still not without a high degree of risk relative to the rest of the market. Now, of course, when silver and gold take off, which we're all waiting for and hoping for, all of those companies should go, the rising tide lifts all ships. However, when the price goes down, and if the price of precious metals were to go down further, the lowering tide lowers all ships. Having a hard time saying ships. I keep wanting to say something that rhymes with bits. Anyway, finally, two other things you need to look at when you're examining precious metal mining companies are the management. Can you trust these guys? It's like any industry. There's some shady characters. There's some high quality, awesome people in the field. Generally, it's a good idea to stick with the winners or a rising star. And finally, you're going to need some patience. And that can be the hardest part of the game because these companies, their prices can fluctuate wildly. And when we're in a bear market in the precious metal sector in general, which it feels like we have been now for the last year and a half, it can be a long, tedious road until the inherent value in many of these companies is harvested. But number one, go back to number one, make sure that from a macro personal perspective, you're in the right financial situation to take the risk of buying stocks in the mining sector. Hey, I hope you enjoyed this video. I appreciate you coming here to Ron's Basement. If you got some value, don't forget you can subscribe right here. I'll see you next time.